The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, episode 179. I am Ray Russell, and this week the time has come. It's the main event, February 3rd, 1989, going all the way back to that fateful night at the Bradley Center, guys, talking about what they're billing as the biggest tag team match in professional wrestling history. That's sports entertainment, pal. It is the Twin Towers, Akeem and the Big Boss Man, taking on the mega powers of the WWF champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan himself. Big matchup, going to kick off the headline. And I want to encourage everybody right now to head on over to patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Subscribe for free. Even free members right now can check out the latest edition, special edition, a special Mega Powers Explode edition of Ranting Raw. Guest Gene Jackson joins yours truly as we break down the entire story of the Mega Powers from the beginnings in the fall of 1987 all the way here 16 months later to the main event and beyond, leading into WrestleMania 5. It's a great 90 minutes of fun time to be had. Again, uncensored, unfiltered. Me and Gene Jackson having a lot of fun breaking down the entire storyline between Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, and of course the lovely Miss Elizabeth there. Available to all members of the Patreon, paid and free. So all you have to do is subscribe and listen or watch. It is available in both video and audio format there. Ranting Raw, the Mega Powers Explode. Speaking of, this main event also coming very soon to the big ones. Available at the ultimate tier. Over there at Patreon, we're going to be covering the main event from beginning to end, including the Mega Powers Twin Towers, the $1 Million Man, and the Mighty Hercules also on the card, and a whole lot of fun in between. And that's what we're going to talk about here this week on The Grenade as we get rolling back to, once again, February 3rd, 1989, the second ever WWF main event.
Tonight, face to face at last for the Super Clash, the Twin Towers versus the Mega Powers. It all started in the golden days of summer when the Madness joined the menu to mark the first triumph of the Mega Powers, the Hulkster, Macho Man, and the lovely Miss Elizabeth. But very soon, the lying smile of brother love betrayed the Hulkster. Stunned by the brutal Boss Man and blinded by the sly Slickster, the Hulkster barely survived a beating that would have crippled the lesser man. Justice came swiftly for brother love, but the Slickster continued his vile agenda as his bully boys Boss Man and Akeem Pearl Harbored the Mega Powers. Ejected from the ring that night, the treacherous twins were soon back to their dirty work, double-teaming the lone Hulkster. But then, the ultimate in cowardice, the handcuffing and vicious manhandling of the lovely Miss Elizabeth, enraging the Macho Man Randy Savage to this heroic rescue. The Slickster's response? A barbaric assault on the exposed spinal column of the Macho Man, rendering the brave champion helpless. Only the full brunt of Hulkamania could deter this treacherous threesome and issue the challenge to clash. Fair and square, team versus team, tonight in the main event.
All right, we have made it. The World Wrestling Federation presents the main event live on NBC, February 3rd, 1989, prime time. Going up against Cousin Larry Appleton and Balky Bartakamus in Perfect Strangers, as well as Michelle Elizabeth Tanner and Jesse Cochran Katsopoulos. Call them what you will over there on Full House. They are running neck to neck with the main event. What channel are you watching, guys? That was a serious question back in 1989, but right now we are focused on the Bradley Center here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 20,000 fans out here, screaming fans, I might add. As we heard there, the fun intro package, Vince McMahon voicing over, reading quote-unquote headlines from various mock newspaper articles involving tonight's big main event matchup, and the teams involved, the Twin Towers and the Mega Powers. We go to ringside there, Vince McMahon, Jesse the Body Ventura on commentary, just the way I like it for the main events, the Saturday night's main event programming. Vince noting that there are 20,000 screaming fans at the brand new $50 million Bradley Center here in Milwaukee. Jesse Ventura says tonight's Super Clash is going to go to the Twin Towers. 3 men will beat 2 men every time. Vince McMahon asking, but what about Elizabeth? Ventura stating she'll be lost in the shuffle. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Right now we go backstage. Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with the Doctor of Style Slick and his Twin Towers.
With me at this time, the Slickster, Akeem, the African Dream, and a Big Boss Man. Gentlemen, is this the match you wanted all along, or are you going to continue your terrorist attacks on the Mega Powers and the defenseless Elizabeth? What do you want?
Chill out, Holmes. Chill out then while the Slickster lays it all out for you. You see, this is the Slickster's third law of wrestling dynamics. See, we are 3 men, and they are 2 men, and 3 men will always beat 2 men. Ergo presto, we will win.
Now that remains to be seen, Slickster. And if that's the third law of wrestling dynamics, what are the first 2 laws?
Elementary, my near idiot. You see, first is the law of the jungle. Yo, brother, kill or be killed, eat or be eaten, and I am hungry. That's it. And then second is the law of the land. Boss man, read them now right.
You have the right to suffer. You have the right to feel pain. If you wish to have an attorney president, I'll hurt him too.
Oh, you've got to be kidding.
Hey, school is out, Holmes, you dunce cap. Hey, now it's time for us 3 men to go out and beat those 2 men, cause it's the law.
I can't believe it. Managers to be a factor, to what degree, I don't know. Vince, let's go back to you.
Wow, that did not age well. Mean Gene asking the Twin Towers if they plan to continue their terrorist attacks on Miss Elizabeth and the Mega Powers. Twin Towers, terrorist attacks, yeesh. Slickster, though, pointing out what Jesse Ventura already covered. 3 men's can beat 2 men's any day. Slickster talks then the law of the jungle. Nice pun there. Bringing his men together, Akeem and the Big Boss Man. Akeem stating the law of the jungle is kill or be killed, eat or be eaten, and he is hungry. Meanwhile, Big Boss Man, you gotta love the line, alerting the Mega Powers they have the right to remain silent, the right to feel pain. If you have an attorney present, he'll hurt him too. God, I love the Big Boss Man. And as the Twin Towers make their way to the ring, we go off to a very special music video presentation documenting the friendship between the Mega Powers and Miss Elizabeth, set to the tune of the duet from Clarence Clemens and Jackson Browne, You're a Friend of Mine. Aw, how nice. Random placement for this music video. Or is it? As we go backstage one more time before the big matchup, we're going to go back once again to Mean Gene Okerlund, this time standing by with the Mega Powers and the lovely Miss Liz.
All right, thank you, Vince McMahon. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, the lovely Elizabeth. 3 people working as one with one goal in mind, to defeat, or should I say demolish, the Twin Towers.
Ooh, yeah.
Hulk Hogan, you talked about the Triangle of Love. Jesse Ventura says there's a problem. Explain.
Well, you know, Mean Gene, you get right to the heart of the matter with that question, brother. It's the love, man, that's going to supercharge the Mega Powers and tear down the Twin Towers. Ooh, yeah. It's the love between me and Miss Elizabeth, the love between a brother and a sister. It's the love between me and the Macho Man, the love between 2 brothers, between 2 partners, between 2 friends. And it's also the
love between the Macho Man and Elizabeth. The way a man feels about a woman. When the Macho Man looks at Elizabeth, the way Elizabeth looks at him. It's like a radar beam, a laser beam, stronger than the sun. It's love that will lead the Mega Powers on to victory.
All right, I've heard your words, Hulk Hogan. Macho Man, Randy Savage, I've got to ask you. I saw you move at the speed of light when the lovely Elizabeth was being manhandled viciously by the big boss man. What were your thoughts then?
Oh, yeah, Mean Gene, I can still feel the pain when that cold steel bit into Miss Elizabeth's wrist right there. And when her muscles were torn, my muscles were torn. When her bone was bruised right there, I felt the pain. Hulk Hogan felt the pain, and I can still feel the pain right now. And Hulk Hogan, that pain won't stop until the Twin Towers come crumbling down. Oh, yeah, right now. Tonight on prime time, yeah.
I gotta tell you, Elizabeth, you really got your wrestlers pumped up for this one.
Well, thank you, Mean Gene.
And now it's time for Miss Elizabeth to lead us to the ring. Elizabeth, Macho Man, victory awaits us. You and me. Yeah.
Oh, Vince, I gotta tell you, those have got to be some of the finest people in all of the World Wrestling Federation. Let's get back to you.
All right, there you heard it. Okerlund asking about the triangle of love. What's up with that, brother? Hulk Hogan again explaining the love for his sister, Miss Elizabeth, his brother, the Macho Man, and of course, the love between the Macho Man and Miss Liz. Very different love, says the Hulkster. Randy Savage talking about when the big boss man grabbed hold of Liz's arm. He felt Liz's pain too. That pain will stop when the Twin Towers go crumbling down tonight. Randy Savage again ignoring Hulk Hogan's comments or their friendship, focused on taking out the Twin Towers tonight. Well, it is called wrestling after all, and that's why the Macho Man is the WWF champion. A mega handshake seals the deal as everything seems to be hunky-dory as we head to ringside for the big matchup. We saw the Twin Towers into the ring. Now their opponents, the Mega Powers, are out, arriving ringside as a unit, ready for tag team action, it would seem. And yes, for those curious, they enter to Hulk Hogan's music. Who else? So entering to the Hulkster's music rather than the WWF champion. Okay. Randy Savage trying to be a team player, though, wearing the red and yellow here tonight. His Mega Powers cape, his Mega Powers trunks are on. Hulk Hogan, very telling. Just wearing his typical yellow trunks and not the Mega Power trunks he wore back at SummerSlam. Somebody take notice. Billed as the greatest tag team match in wrestling history? Well, I don't know about that, but it is a monster match for TV, and there's no turning back now. We've got a Hebner in the ring. Hopefully that's Dave, or given the main event passed, I hope that's Dave anyway. Bell sounds. Hulk Hogan wanting to start off with the Boss Man, but Randy Savage telling the Hulkster, just wait for a minute, hang out on the apron. Macho wanting to start out this one, but the big Boss Man pointing over to Hulk Hogan, egging him on to get in the ring. Savage again having to calm the Hulkster down, but no, wait. Randy Savage listening to Hogan, listening to the fans. Hogan going to be tagged in. At least I think he was tagged in. He kind of just comes in the ring, but it's the Hulkster, so I guess he has that type of leeway. But I guess because they didn't officially start the matchup yet, they have the option to switch places here in the ring. So Hulk Hogan headed in to start off with the big Boss Man here. Hogan unloads right away. Big right hands on the former prison guard. Slick immediately up on the apron, but Hogan going to knock the Slickster right back off, even blasting Akeem for his troubles. Down goes Akeem to the apron, and then back over the Boss Man. Hulk Hogan, atomic drop sends the Boss Man up and over the top rope and out to the floor. And the Macho Man jumping into the ring to celebrate with Hulk Hogan as the fans go banana. And the heels regroup on the outside. Boss Man, though, mindful of the count, taking his time, slowly re-entering the ring at the count of 9. But Hulk Hogan going to town. 10 turnbuckle shots on the Boss Man, looking for a big punch as he shoots him off the ropes. But Boss Man going to hold on to the ropes, slide back to the floor, hoping to regroup. But a waiting Randy Savage going to blast the Boss Man from behind with a big running double axe handle. So much for regrouping, Boss Man. And again, after nearly another 9 count, the big Boss Man re-entering the ring and tagging out to his big brother, Akeem, the African Dream. And Hulk Hogan going to remain in the ring, not tagging in the Macho Man here, luring Akeem to the Mega Power corner, however. And Akeem going to play ping pong ball between the Hulkster and the Macho Man there, standing on the apron back and forth, Akeem taking shots. And there's the tag. Hogan going to hold Akeem from behind. Is Randy Savage coming off the top rope with a big double axe handle. Good double team work there from the Mega Powers. Savage going to work the African Dream over. Big back elbow to the jaw of Akeem, taking him back to the corner, and a tag back to the Hulkster as well. Very weird visual as Randy Savage going to hold Akeem for Hulk Hogan to climb up to the middle rope for a very awkward-looking double axe handle of his own. Randy Savage coming off the top. Hulk Hogan says, anything you can do, I can do at least half as good, Randy. Hogan coming off the middle rope, and that just looked weird, but he does connect, landing a shot on Akeem. But the Towers almost immediately going to take control of the Hulkster here. Big clothesline and a pile driver from the Big Boss Man. Down goes Hogan. Boss Man taking the Hulkster over to the ropes, maybe looking for another pile driver, but Hogan going to counter, backdropping the Boss Man over the top rope and out to the floor. And the Hulkster going to follow the Big Boss Man to the outside, ramming the Boss into the steel post, and then kicking the Slickster off the apron on his way back inside. But the distraction allows the Big Boss Man to regroup and deliver a big spine buster, driving Hogan down to the center of the ring. 1, 2, nearly a 3 count. Not a lot of authority on that kick out from the Hulkster there. Big Boss Man taking control there after that spine buster. Jesse Ventura even refers to that as a delay in the 3 count, and I really can't argue that if you go back and watch it. But the Twin Towers still on top. Akeem holding Hogan for the Big Boss Man punch, but Hogan ducking out of the way, and the Boss Man nails the African Dream, his own partner instead. Then Hogan slugs the Boss Man, decking him as well, and finally frees himself up to make the hot tag out to the Macho Man. And Randy Savage is in hot. Running neck snap over the top rope by the Macho Man onto Akeem. Savage hopping over the top, landing on the floor. Akeem, great leverage move there, sends the African Dream backwards. And then Savage immediately up to the top rope for a flying crossbody block on the African Dream. Akeem goes down. Savage on top. 1, 2, but the Boss Man in to break up the count. Randy Savage with a flying crossbody. So the Macho Man, still on fire, goes to run the ropes, but gets tripped up on the outside by the Slickster. And there's that 3-on-2 advantage they had talked about earlier in the interview time. And now the Twin Towers working over the Macho Man, who is down on the mat. Akeem picking him up, flinging him over the top rope out to the floor, right by the legs of the lovely Miss Elizabeth, who kneels down to check on Randy, help him back to his feet, and back inside the ring. The WWF Champion returning to action here. So Akeem going to grab Savage and do it a second time, flinging the Macho Man back out, but this time Elizabeth in the way. And Savage goes flying out through the ropes and right into the body of Miss Elizabeth, smashing into her chest. Liz knocked to the ground as Savage landing on top of her, smashing her chest and head down on the ground. Oh my God, the collective gasp of the audience here is just insane. Mine at home, no matter how many times I've seen this, you still fear for Elizabeth and the damage that could have been done or may have been done here. Randy Savage, all of his weight, well, we'll just call it believable at the very least, as she goes smashing down and Randy Savage landing right on top of her, with Randy Savage and Elizabeth now down on the outside. Hulk Hogan rushing over to initially check on both of them, his brother and his sister, before patting the Macho Man, "You'll be okay, dude," and turning all of his attention to the lovely Elizabeth. Hulk Hogan mounting Liz, straddling her to check on her as Randy Savage begins to stagger to his feet and survey the land. Macho makes a face like, "What the fuck is that going on right there, as he points and spreads his arms in confusion. "What is this? Why is Hulk Hogan straddling my woman? Hulk Hogan still 100% absorbed in the well-being of Elizabeth. Savage, though, looking like he might deck the Hulkster from behind. But it's Akeem who reaches out and snatches Savage by the hair, pulling him back into the ring. As Vince McMahon informing us, help is on the way for the lovely Elizabeth, pal. But Hulk Hogan, he's not going to wait for that help. The Hulkster supposedly checking for a heartbeat as he lowers his ear into the bosom of Liz here. Meanwhile, Randy Savage taking care of both Twin Towers in the ring, all on his own. Randy Savage fighting off the Boss Man and Akeem in the ring. And the Hulkster outside, sick of waiting for this help that's coming. Hogan decides to scoop Elizabeth up in his arms and carry her lifeless body back to the dressing room. Oh, wow. What does he plan to do with her? Randy Savage, though, looking visibly upset as he goes out to the apron. He sees what's transpiring here. Hogan carrying Elizabeth to the back, turning his back on the Macho Man. Who the fuck is this guy to be carrying my woman anywhere? Plus, don't forget, we have a match in the ring. Hulk Hogan abandoning Randy Savage in favor of Miss Elizabeth's health here. And as the Macho Man's distracted out there on the apron, his back turned to the ring, he's knocked off the apron down to the floor. Meanwhile, as Hulk gets to the curtains, a stretcher finally arrives for Miss Elizabeth. The camera's going to follow the Hulkster and the stretcher all the way to the first aid room. Sprinting in a hurry there, Hogan begging for help. Somebody help the lovely Liz. Now, I must say, terrible acting here. They thought this guy was going to be a movie star? I don't know, pal. But the Hulkster begging for help for the lovely unconscious Elizabeth at this point. As they move Liz from a stretcher to a hospital bed, the physician then checking her vitals, Hulk Hogan holding her hand the entire time, pleading and praying for her, leaning on her, begging for her to be okay. Just be okay. Please be okay, Liz. Please don't die, I believe he says at one point there. Jeez. But Hogan continues to rant on to the lifeless Miss Elizabeth. Randy didn't mean it, brother, or sister, or whatever he really sees in Elizabeth. But Randy didn't mean it. What a dick. What a dick thing to say. Randy Savage didn't have a choice. He was thrown out of the ring, you douche. Of course he didn't mean it. But if somebody's laying there, dying as the Hulkster fears, why would Randy didn't mean it even be the first thing to come out of your mouth? I'm just saying, guys. And did I mention awful acting, but still very campy, very over the top, very fun in that late 1980s WWF good way of campy. Anywho, we take a commercial break as Hogan checks there on the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Back from break. Well, if it was 3-on-2 before, it is now 3-on-1 versus the Macho Man in the ring. We catch just a quick clip of Randy Savage getting worked over by both members of the Twin Towers. Remember, we do have a match going on in the ring. Before we head backstage once again, Hulk Hogan thanking God that Elizabeth is still alive. Her eyes are open. It's a miracle. Live version, though, we also hear the Hulkster asking for the "Tizime, brother." Now, this is fun. You don't get this in the post-produced version, but you do get it on the live version. Hogan, not realizing they've cut away from the ring, asking for the "Tizime." What's the "Tizime, brother?" Requesting a countdown or something so that he knows when he's back on the camera. Well, somebody must alert the Hulkster that we're live, pal, and you're already back on camera. Vince McMahon doing a great job of talking over Hogan once he realizes what's going on there. Trying to cover it up, pal. So Hogan already doing his shtick, already selling the story there, already acting, if you will. But once he realizes he is back on the air, it's full-blown Hogan ham mode here. More of the Randy didn't mean it, Liz, gonna follow. Not a real big fan of that. But having been knocked unconscious, Elizabeth doesn't know what's going on, so she asks, "Where's Randy?" Natural question. "He's still in the ring," says Hulk. Liz caring more about the Macho Man, more about the match than herself, sends Hulk Hogan back out there to help Randy Savage win the matchup. Doesn't take much convincing either. With Liz awake and honoring her request, Hogan darts back to ringside. And I believe this part at least had to have been shown on the big screens there in the Bradley Center because we hear a collective pop when Hogan is seen running out of the dressing room. And finally, we cut back to the action after some 6, well, if you count commercials, 8 minutes of time has gone by since we saw any actual wrestling during this match. Storytelling, pal. So back to ringside, we hear the crowd erupt as Hulk Hogan returns to his corner up on the apron and begins begging for a tag from the Macho Man. Meanwhile, Randy has been worked over and double teamed for quite some time. Double backbreaker going to land next by the Twin Towers, and now the heels looking for a double splash. Oh no, this may be the end of the Macho Man. But as the Twin Towers both bounce off the ropes, in unintentional yet hilarious fashion, the Big Boss Man going to hit the ropes just a split second before Akeem. So when Akeem goes to hit the ropes, it's already bent. And Akeem goes tumbling backwards through the ropes to the floor in an awesome yet unplanned bump. So Akeem essentially eliminating himself. That takes care of him. But as the Boss Man comes down with a big splash, Randy Savage out of the way. And the Boss Man will miss. Akeem outside on the floor. And the Macho Man staggering to his feet and going over to climb the top, not make the tag. Randy Savage going to the top rope. Flying double axe handle by the Macho Man into the ring on the Boss Man. Randy then single-handedly chucking both Twin Towers over the top rope. Wow, that's some serious energy there. A resurgence by the Macho Man, eliminating the Boss Man from the ring, then tossing Akeem, nearly 500 pounds over the top rope, out to the floor as well. The Macho Man has cleared the ring as he finally has the opportunity. Can he make the tag to the Hulkster? Hulk Hogan reaching for the tag, brother, and Macho mixing words with Hulk Hogan instead, finally going to tag him in with a slap to the face. The Macho Man slapping the face of the Hulkster. Then Savage jumping over the top rope out to the floor, looking up, pointing his finger, having more words for Hulk Hogan. You left me high and dry, you fuck. Hulk Hogan, though, looking confused at Randy. Hogan trying to explain himself here, but the big boss man going to attack Hogan on the apron, bring him into the ring, as Savage continues to shout from the floor. And now the Twin Towers looking for a double corner splash, but Hogan move out of the way. The Twin Towers missing the big splash in the corner. Randy Savage collecting his WWF title belt from ringside. Very important piece of machinery there. Got to get the title belt. Macho Man then begins to walk away. Hulk Hogan down, looking a little confused. Randy explaining himself. Well, if Hogan can walk away, why can't the Macho Man? Which is pretty much what Jesse Ventura says as well here. You never leave your partner in a wrestling match. The body stating it's just like combat, no matter what. Liz knew the risks walking into this thing. You can't really argue with the body here. Hulk Hogan left Randy Savage high and dry, and now it's the Macho Man's turn. Leaving, it seems, without any intent to return, taking the title belt with them. And that distraction going to allow the Twin Towers back on top. Both men this time landing corner splashes on Akeem, setting up for the big 747. Air Africa lands on top of the Hulkster. 1, 2, Hogan kicking out, and you better believe he's hulking up. The crowd eating it up as I question the realism in all of this, but it's wrestling. So the Hulkster up with a big boot on Akeem. Down goes the African Dream. The big boss man in, coming to make the save, but Hogan blasting him too, rocking the boss man, the former prison guard now stunned. Hogan hitting the ropes, dropping the big leg on Akeem while he has the opportunity, and gets the 1, 2, 3. Match goes 19 minutes, 19 seconds with commercials, a little over 21 minutes of action here. Now, you got to remember, of the 20-plus minute matchup, some of that not shown due to the locker room shenanigans going on back there with Miss Elizabeth, Hulk Hogan, and the like. But the big boss man immediately back to the attack after the matchup. The Twin Towers lose to Hulk Hogan essentially here, but the boss man in with some handcuffs in hand. Big boss man attempting to cuff Hogan to the top rope in order to work him over, maybe finish him for good. But Slick right there on the apron, and Hogan with a double noggin knocker, just sending Slick and the boss man together. The Hulkster takes over the handcuffs, and he's going to cuff the boss man to Slick. Slick hanging over the top rope. The boss man stuck in the ring, handcuffed together. Akeem still down on the mat for the big leg drop. And Hogan, he's going to leave the ring and go find the Macho Man. Wow, this must be serious. No posing from the Hulkster, pal.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell back to talk to you about all the new and exciting audio and video podcasts we've been putting together over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. As a self-funded brand, this entire ship is powered by our patrons. It's your support that keeps all of these wonderful shows going here at WrestleCopia. And with that said, I wanted to mention that we now have 3 major tiers with tons of Patreon-exclusive next-level content for our Patreon supporters. And it all starts with the $5 all-access tier, which gets you early access to many of the weekly podcasts, at least a dozen monthly digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure, the insanely detailed show notes for the Wrestling Memory Grenade Regional Wrestling, and the OG Monday Warfare podcast, plus random bonus video drops, archived old-school audio watch-alongs from the early years of the brand. And if that's not all, the brand new Patreon-exclusive podcast, Ranting Raw, featuring yours truly, Ray Russell, completely uncensored, unfiltered, with honest takes, taking patron questions and addressing various topics from throughout wrestling history. It is a whole lot of fun wrapped under the all-access tier for only $5, but things get even hotter with the VIP Superfan tier. For just a few dollars more, you get everything already mentioned in the All Access tier, plus as part of the VIP tier, a whole new slew of videocast series where it's not just your typical watch-alongs. Sure, we laugh, we have fun, but we're also breaking down the history, the context, and the why behind what you're seeing. And as part of the VIP tier, you have access to Dan Gennety's Puro Resu Academy videocast, the Coliseum videocast with co-host Gene Jackson, and the Monday Warfare videocast, Raw vs. Nitro, breaking down the history of the Monday Night War. Plus, you also get the Memphis 1985 folder of goodies and all show notes for the Puro Academy podcast and Gene's retro review show. Lots to be had there at the VIP tier. But wait, there's more. For those WrestleCopia backers who crave even more from the brand, we bring you yet another level of content fit for a warrior, because it is indeed the ultimate tier, which gives you everything from the All Access Pass, everything from the VIP tier, plus you will receive access to the big ones video series featuring a lengthy look and discussion into some of the biggest pay-per-views, super shows, and other events from throughout wrestling history. It's also a great place to keep up with the big events that coincide with the Monday Warfare videocast and so many other big events from years gone by. You'll also have access to the newest big hit to the Copia brand. I'm talking about Regional Wrestling Unreal, the video series. Get ready for the next level in regional wrestling as we dissect territory history in video form. Watch along with us. But still, even more for your money, guys. You'll also receive access to the Treasure Chest, which offers patrons the unique opportunity to download and watch select rarities from wrestling history. And for those of you who are wondering what we offer, are contemplating joining a paid Patreon membership, or simply a curious lurker, a reminder there's a free tier at our Patreon that you can join as well. Remember, guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, or look for the QR code where available. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia podcast network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
And the cameras follow Hulk Hogan backstage. We actually cut back to the first aid room. Miss Elizabeth still in her hospital bed, but this time being confronted by Randy Savage, who was pointing and shouting at her. That's not really something to do much after you smash her, splatter her across the concrete. But Macho Man going off on Elizabeth about the jealousy of one Hulk Hogan for Savage being champion and Hogan not. Hulkster wanting the Macho Man's belt is what Randy Savage feels here. Macho Man telling Liz it's Hogan's fault that she's in the spot she's in right now. When in walks the Hulkster himself, confronting Randy Savage. What the fuck was that in the ring, Mach? Hulk Hogan asking Randy Savage what his problem is. Elizabeth laying there hurting. The Hulkster pointing out, now you gotta love this line, Elizabeth laying here hurting, but she knows what Savage did to her was an accident. What Savage did to her was he was propelled, he was projectiled into Miss Elizabeth. He really had no option but to land where he landed. That's just the law of gravity, the law of science. But he didn't mean to. It was an accident, Liz. Talking as if the Macho Man could have prevented it. Meanwhile, Randy Savage going to fire back here. Accusations made finger in the face of the Hulkster, stating that Hulk Hogan is simply jealous because the madness is getting bigger than Hulkamania. That's old news. That's yesterday's garbage. Well, that did it. All you had to do was tell Hulk Hogan that Hulkamania is no longer running wild, and now the Hulkster getting upset as well. If there's one thing you don't do, it's question the overness of Hulkamania. That draws the line, brother. Hulk Hogan finally going to swat away the Macho Man's finger from his face. The Macho, though, he sees jealousy in the eyes of Hulk Hogan because Savage is the champion. He was the one carrying Hulk Hogan, not the other way around. Savage stating that he is not number 3 in the Mega Powers, he's number 1. Hogan and Liz had put him in the back seat, but not anymore. The Macho Man says, Hulk Hogan, you want this belt, but you didn't have the guts to ask me for a title shot. You know why? Because the Hulkster knows that he can't beat the Macho Man. Randy then going to shove Hulk Hogan. Getting physical here. Hogan telling the Macho Man to keep your hands off me, brother. Macho says, though, the Hulkster isn't man enough to ask him for a title shot. But it goes even deeper than that. He can see lust in the eyes of Hulk Hogan. Lust for Miss Elizabeth. The Hulkster immediately denying the allegations, turning to Liz and asking her, Liz, please talk some sense into Randy. But Savage isn't going to back out this time. He's put up with too much shit over the last 6 months at the very least. And with Hulk Hogan's head turned towards Elizabeth, the Macho Man blasting the Hulkster upside his head with the WWF title belt. And down goes Hulk Hogan, a pile of medical gadgets falling alongside him. Watch out for the needles, brother. Savage climbing on top of the Hulkster, working him over briefly before poor Liz pulling her body off the bed and down to the aid of Hulk Hogan. Miss Elizabeth kneeling over Hogan, as Hulk had done for her at ringside. Randy Savage, disgusted by it all, warning Liz to get out of the way before he swings at Hogan with the title belt once more. But Elizabeth, she's not budging, checking on the Hulkster. Enter Brutus Beefcake into the picture, a little too early, and in a weird yellow shirt to boot. Brudi realizing that he jumped the gun on his cue, and he runs back out like we didn't see him. And Savage going to continue the storyline here, warning Liz to get out of the way. And when she doesn't move on her own, Savage moves Liz himself, jerking her up by the arm and flinging her a good 20 feet across the room, all the way off camera. Fuck did he toss her all the way across the room. Poor Liz, what a night she's having. First, Randy Savage lands full body and on top of her, smashing her down into the floor outside there in the Bradley Center. And then backstage here, Randy Savage just tossing poor Liz like he was pitching a ball way back when for the minor leagues in baseball. Randy Savage back to finish off Hulk Hogan with that title belt. But as he raises it over his head, here's Brutus Beefcake to finally save the day. And now sans shirt. Good call there. But Beefcake only a temporary issue as Randy Savage quickly disposing of the booty man dude. Randy Savage tossing Brudi aside without much problem. And then the Macho Man goes back for his belt yet again when in rush a handful of officials to check on Hulk Hogan. Randy Savage grabbing hold of Pat Patterson, tossing him aside, much like he did the lovely Liz. Beefcake now back over, down to check on Hulk Hogan, asking for some help in here. Get somebody in here to remove the Macho Man. I guess the barber not man enough to do it himself. Hulk Hogan down on the ground, asking about the whereabouts of the lovely Elizabeth. Randy Savage now leaving the first aid room as we take a commercial break. Wow, what a piece of wrestling storytelling right there. So we have 2 minutes at home to kind of take a breath and ponder a whole lot of things to see what happens here on the other side. We come back from break. Quick trip back to the locker room again. We see Hulk Hogan being tended to by a physician and his brother Brudi. And then it's back to the ring. Don't forget, we've got another match here tonight on the main event. The Mighty Hercules battling the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase, Virgil in his corner. And I don't envy these guys having to follow what just happened literally a couple minutes ago. No breathing time whatsoever from that angle straight into the next matchup because we're live and we got to keep going. So back from break after that wild altercation in the medical exam room, we see the Mighty Hercules make his way down the aisle, the trumpets playing him in, the chains swinging wildly. I don't know how he never took a referee or Howard Finkel's head off with that chain, by the way, because he gave no fucks when he started swinging. I ducked just watching it on TV. Anywho, Hercules out there in some blue Speedos awaiting his opponent as out walks the $1 Million Man in his shiny green suit with bodyguard Virgil in tow. And there's not a lot of response here for the entrances. The fans still trying to piece together and recover from what they just watched transpire out here in the previous match. Imagine if they saw what happened at the end in the backstage area. That part I'm not so sure on, but Hercules going to try to bring the fans back into things here. The Mighty One slamming the Boss, $1 Million Man, and the bodyguard Virgil's head together on the apron. Down goes Virgil, bump off the apron, down to the floor, and Hercules snap-marrying Dibiase, still in his suit, into the ring. Hercules with a big atomic drop and a clothesline, sending Ted Dibiase up and over the top and back out to the floor. Meanwhile, Virgil climbing up to the top rope, but Hercules ready, press slamming Virg off the top right into the center of the ring. Down goes the bodyguard Hercules, taking out both men. Dibiase finally removing his entrance attire, climbing up onto the apron, but Hercules whipping Virgil into the ropes, colliding with the $1 Million Man, sending Teddy back off the apron to the floor, and another big clothesline from the Mighty One, taking Virgil now up over the top rope to the outside as well. Hercules on fire here as Dibiase and Virgil bumping machines for the Mighty One. And Hercules going to bring Ted back in the hard way, quickly scooping him up into a press slam, launching Dibiase all the way across the ring. Really nice spot there from Dibiase. Great bump for the Mighty One. And an atomic drop sees Teddy go flying over the top rope and back out to the floor once more. The $1 Million Man spending as much time outside the ring as he has inside. Vince McMahon taking a break from the action to make sure and alert us to stay tuned, as we will be hearing from the Hulkster directly after this bout. So even when we have a different match in the ring, it's all about the big storyline. Meanwhile, back to the action here. Ted Dibiase finally collecting himself with Virgil on the floor. Hercules, though, reaching through the ropes for a double noggin knocker, Jess. And the heels go down once more. Crowd enjoying this beatdown of the evil heel $1 Million Man. But Teddy finally going to make his way to the apron, using a leverage move by snap-bearing Hercules over the top rope and to the outside. From there, Ted Dibiase working over Hercules on the floor, then back in the ring. Big left arm clothesline connects. A couple of those patented $1 Million falling fist drops. Going to get himself a 2 count there for Dibiase. Teddy continues on the offense. Middle rope standing elbow connects, but the Mighty One kicking out with authority on the 2 count there. Hercules still got a lot left in the gas tank, it would seem, as Herc managing to counter a suplex with one of his own. Both men now down on the mat, and the crowd getting back into it once again. Both men back to their feet. Hercules reversing an Irish whip to the corner, but runs right into a $1 Million boot from Ted Dibiase. Down goes Hercules again. Teddy looking to capitalize with a big backbreaker, but Hercules again kicking out at 2, and again with authority. So the match will continue on. The Mighty One blocking a turnbuckle smash and giving one back. In fact, giving 10 of them back to the $1 Million Man, followed by a big power slam from Herc. And it looks like Hercules feeling it now, calling on the fans. Hercules looking for a charging knee lift, but Dibiase sidestepping, sending the Mighty One into the corner buckle. Rocking Hercules there. Dibiase then working Herc over in the corner. Virgil jumping up onto the apron behind their back, behind the referee's back, wrapping Hercules' chain around the top buckle. Virgil then going to shout for Ted Dibiase to take notice. Look what I did, boss. And it doesn't take long for the $1 Million Man to do just that. Take notice he does. Teddy sets up to smash Hercules into the big steel chain. But Herc going to put on the brakes at the last minute, and instead it's Dibiase who goes head first into the steel instead. Backfire City here. But somehow Dibiase managing to kick out just before the 3. So Hercules, he's going to do it again. And it connects again. Dibiase into the cold hard steel a second time. And Hercules looking to end this one once and for all. Take care of his would-be owner. The Mighty One scooping Dibiase up for his patented torture rack backbreaker. And yes, he looks it on. Ted Dibiase up in that torture rack, but Virgil distracting referee Joey Morella. And as Virgil shoot away, the ref sees the chain on the top buckle. Well, how do you think it got there, ref? Joey Morella rushing over to remove said chain, but behind his back it's Virgil reaching through the ropes, pulling Hercules by his trunks into the ropes, tripping Hercules up, causing him to lose his balance, and Dibiase able to fall free from the backbreaker. And as Hercules turns around, turns his attention to Virgil out on the floor, it's the $1 Million Man from behind with a schoolboy, and of course a hook of the tights, gonna get the 1, 2, 3. The $1 Million Man steals another one over his would-be slave, the Mighty Hercules. Ted Dibiase going over 7 minutes and 10 seconds. And an exhausted Dibiase escapes this match by the skin of his teeth. Or does he? Dibiase gets his hand raised and immediately turns right into a big right hand for the Mighty One. Hercules then going to leave the ring, go out for his chain, Going to use it there on Ted Dibiase, but Virgil pulling Teddy to safety. Hercules then going to swing the chain wildly once again to end the segment. So, we get a finish finally to the Hercules Ted Dibiase storyline and on TV. A feud that initiated the Mighty One's face turn a few months back. It doesn't have a happy ending for Hercules, but the right man does go over based on push alone. Fun choice of a filler match here after the Mega Powers bout. A good way to get Dibiase back in the forefront of TV, getting a win here on NBC. And Hercules really has nothing to be ashamed of. Really good TV match, in my personal opinion. They eliminated any rest holds, just hit the high spots here. Great bumping by Ted Dibiase per the usual. Hercules, he got himself some good response from the fans when he was bumping Teddy around like a pinball. But I think the crowd's mind wasn't fully invested in this one after what they had just saw in the previous match. Nevertheless, good little match here. At this point, the $1 Million Man deserves a belt. Maybe he should buy himself one. Hercules going to continue on his revenge path as up next, the Heenan family. As the program continues on, we take another quick trip backstage. Mean Gene Okerlund now in the trainer's room. Gene going to try to get an interview with the Hulkster himself, but we see Hulk Hogan being tended to an ice pack to the side of his head, flanked by a trainer and brother Brutus Beefcake. Dude. Hogan seated on a training table, a stretcher if you will, selling his head, overselling his head. A lot of grunt work here by Hulk Hogan, who tosses down the ice pack, makes some faces like he's going to puke. I'm not really sure what he was going for there with his facials before he finally jumps up, still shaky, but shouting, Randy, Randy. Hulk Hogan looking for Randy. Rip him, brother. Hulk Hogan storming out of the locker room in search of the Macho Man as we take another commercial break. It's the Mountain Dew Slam of the Night featuring Jake the Snake Roberts. Good way to get another top featured star on the show. And a quick Slam of the Night, DDT and Damien there with Jake the Snake. As we come back from break, Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura out here to close out the show discussing the Mega Power situation. Jesse Ventura says he saw it coming all along. There's more than a friendship there in the eyes of the Hulkster. It's the lust for Miss Elizabeth. How dare Hulk Hogan leave a match to tend to a manager, says the Body, leaving Savage out there 2-on-1 to get beat up alone. No help. Jesse Ventura backing the Macho Man, and he too sees the lust in the eyes of the Hulkster for the lovely Miss Elizabeth. And as we close out the program, we cut one final time. Backstage, we see the Hulkster storming the hallways, screaming for the Macho Man. Randy! Randy! Where is he? Tossing equipment, shouting for Randy Savage. Looking into locker rooms, grabbing hold of Jim Neidhart in one of the locker rooms, shoving him aside. Then he runs into rocker Shawn Michaels in the hallway, grabbing Shawn by the throat, tossing him against the wall. I'm sure that's happened a time or two in the future for old HBK. The Blue Twins come to mind. Then Hulk Hogan runs into the Hitman, Bret Hart. Hulk Hogan wrapping both hands around Bret's neck, but of course Bret Hart barely going to sell that. Execution excellence. And for some reason, all the babyfaces seem concerned for Hulk Hogan. Rather than pissed, he just put his hands on them. Meanwhile, Hogan running into Marty Jannetty next, who wisely just backs up out of the way. Looks like Marty wants to make it to the party, but you go back and Hogan putting his hands on both the Hitman and the Anvil. Wouldn't it have been great if the Hart Foundation just landed a heart attack right here in the hallway? Boy, that would have been fun. You can't say that Hogan didn't have it coming to him. But instead, we end the episode with a visual of Hulk Hogan kicking open some double doors, moving into another area of the arena, looking for Randy, as we fade away to black. End of show, guys. Now, if you were lucky enough to have seen the live satellite feed, you were able to hear Vince McMahon speak with production during the breaks, complain about lighting of his notes being the shits, pal. And we see Hulk Hogan turn the corner past those double doors on the satellite feed, and he just stops acting, kind of just stands there, producer telling him they're out. And he did a great job. Great job, Hulk. Now, the live NBC version also has its own fun little things, specifically botches of Hulk Hogan asking for the Tizime and needing the countdown, brother, when we return from the break, not realizing we had already returned. Couple that with Brutus Beefcake and his disappearing yellow shirt, trying to make the save too early in that backstage altercation, the Mega Powers imploding before they explode. But I actually compared the live version and the post-production polished version side by side on my laptop to spot the differences. And there really aren't that many beyond the production flubs. But I did notice a few great camera shots of facials made by Hogan and Randy Savage during the matchup. Their facials telling stories that were almost missed on the live version. But on the post-produced versions, the facials, the camera shots are shown for longer moments, enabling the storytelling to mean more to us at home. So while I loved the live version for all of its quirks, the post-produced version is actually the much better storytelling if you like things perfectly done. Say what you will, side with who you wish, but a hell of an hour of compelling storytelling here, and done in prime time on a network station like NBC, no less. This, no doubt, was a major contributor to the large buy rate numbers that WrestleMania 5 is going to do. And we discussed the ratings of the main event on the last Grenade episode, drawing over 10 million homes, over 23 million viewers. Not necessarily the success of last year's main event, which drew 33 million, but that was Hulk and Andre. Let's remember that. Regardless, this event here, the main event here in 1989, did everything it needed to make the money where it counts for the big one on pay-per-view. An amazing story that started 16 months ago and will continue on as the mega powers explode at WrestleMania 5. The historical importance of this event knows no bounds when it comes to wrestling history. As big as any piece of TV story ever produced in the world of professional wrestling, this tag match, hardly the biggest of all time wrestling-wise, but it was never meant to be, guys. Wrestling was second to the storytelling this week, and what a story it has been. The final piece in the Mega Powers saga before they explode in just a couple months' time. Randy Savage finally has enough of Hogan's jealousy. That's my take anyway. Now, I've seen some people online argue this. Should the Twin Towers have won the match in a normal tag team split, that would have made sense. But to lose to the Twin Towers would take the focus off the real story here. Hulk Hogan will continue his feud with the Big Boss Man in the house shows, leading all the way into WrestleMania. Steel cage matches planned. But the story tonight was the end of the Mega Powers as we knew them. Boy, you gotta love these Hulk Hogan friends turning storylines because you can root for either side and never be wrong. And that's going to wrap it up here this week, guys. When we pick back up next time, we're going to be kicking off with the first week of February TV for 1989 of the World Wrestling Federation. All the fallout here from the main event and everything leading into WrestleMania 5. It begins now, guys, on the road to WrestleMania in 1989. And I invite you to return here next week to be here with me for it. But for now, time to wrap things up. Encourage everybody to head over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great podcasts there. Of course, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. All the great podcasts and videocast bonus shows. The treasure chest Dropbox folder, over 2 terabytes of wrestling footage you guys can check out right there. All sorts of things right there going on right now at our Patreon. But for now, we're going to wrap it up. Be back soon. Another edition of the Wrestling Memory Grenade right around the corner. Until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
Boss man, read them now right.
You have the right to suffer. You have the right to feel pain. If you wish to have an attorney president, I'll hurt him too.
Hey, now it's time for us 3 men to go out and beat those 2 men, cause it's the law.
I can't believe it. Managers to be a factor, to what degree, I don't know. Vince, let's go back to you.